Hi all, welcome to my channel. This video is about Ansible, which is a configuration management tool. In your IT landscape, you may have hundreds of servers and you need to manage the configuration, the software updates, software installations on each of those servers. One way to do that is you can log into each of those servers and then do it. But this manual method will take a long time to complete, plus it is error prone. So that is the reason why we are using automated configuration management tools such as Ansible, wherein you can manage the configuration and software updates on hundreds of servers from a central single node. Let's understand a little bit more about Ansible before we get into the hands-on exercise. So here is a simple Ansible setup with its central control node and its set of managed servers which are being managed by this control node. You set up Ansible in this control node only. There are no Ansible agents which are running in the managed servers. You just need to ensure that from the control node you can log into each of these machines using SSH. And as we already discussed, Ansible is used for configuration management of your IT infrastructure, such as you can apply patches to these host machines from the control node, or you can deploy some new version of a software tool, or you can run an automation task in these host machines from the central control node itself. You don't need to manually log into each of these machines. So there are a couple of terms which are specified here. One is the playbook. Playbook is the Ansible program in which we describe what configuration changes you want to make in these managed nodes. And the playbook is made of what is called Ansible Modules. Modules are scripts written in Python which perform specific tasks on managed nodes, such as create a file, delete a file, copy a file, create a new user, or installation of some software tools using apt, yum, etc. And the inventory file contains the IP addresses or host names of your managed nodes. And whenever you are running your playbook, you can specify in which all machines you want to execute this particular playbook. And the playbook is written using YAML language. So Ansible in general, it simplifies the management of large IT environments. So with that, let us get into the hands-on exercise. Let us see how we can set up Ansible and how we can create a playbook and run it in the managed nodes. Let's start. So let's set up our Ansible control node. So for that, you can come to EC2 dashboard and click on launch instances, and the name I'll just specify it as Ansible CN or control node, and I'm going to choose Red Hat this time. For other exercise I have used Ubuntu. You can choose any of these, but the commands which I'm going to enter in this exercise, it will be for Red Hat Linux. Choose the latest one, that is okay. Come down, instance type, you can use T2 micro, but I'm going to use T2 small. You can use T2 micro, it will work. Key pair, you should have created a key pair if you don't have, but if you already have some key pairs, just use that. Please ensure that the key pair's private key is in your downloads folder. So I'm using an existing key pair. Come down, you can use the default VPC and any subnet, etc. That is fine. Come down, and for security group, you should create a security group which has port 22 and 80 open. So I have already created one, so I'm going to use the existing one. Otherwise, you will have to create a new one if you don't have. So I'm going to use an existing one. I have created a number of security groups. This DevOps SG has many of the ports open. So basically 22 and 80 should be open. That's all the requirement is. Come down. Nothing else required. Number of instances 1, because I need just one control node. Click on launch instance. So this will take a couple of minutes. So you can see it is in pending state. So let's wait till running state and we will start again. So you can see that your EC2 has come up running. So now you have to SSH into that machine and set up Ansible. So select it and then go to connect, go to SSH client and come down. Under example, this connection string is there. Just copy that and then go to a command prompt or terminal, and you have to ensure that you are in the downloads folder where your key pair has been downloaded. I'm already in downloads folder, so I can just paste the connection string. Just say yes. So I have logged into my Ansible control node. So let me change this host name. Okay, for that you can use this command sudo hostname control set hostname. I'll say Ansible control node. Exit and login again. Yes, you can see that the hostname has been changed. Now I need to update the yum repository so that from that repository I can install some of the software tools which is required for this hands-on exercise. So let me update yum, sudo yum check update. As the next step, I have to install Python pip tool. So Python pip tool is required for installing other softwares like AWS CLI, Boto 3 and Ansible. So let me install Python 3 pip. Okay, so pip is available now. So using pip, I'm going to install AWS CLI, Boto 3 and Ansible. AWS CLI is the CLI command line interface tool which we will require for issuing AWS commands. Boto and Boto 3 are Python SDK, which is used in developing Python solutions in AWS. We actually require these packages as part of our exercise. And of course, Ansible, which is the core software solution which we are going to test. So just enter. It will take a minute or more. Now, Ansible is installed. You can just check it. Ansible version. So you will get all the details. So Ansible is successfully installed. Next, what we need to do is we have to configure our credentials. AWS configure. I have to specify my AWS credentials so that Ansible can use that when it executes the playbooks. So AWS configure and access key ID and secret access key. From where will you get it? You have to go back to your AWS console and go to the right side top where your name appears and then click on this and security credentials, open link in new tab. Come down, click on AWS IAM credentials, come down, and when you reach access keys, create a new pair of access keys. It will allow you to add only 2. So if there are already 2 keys existing, then you'll have to delete one. But I have only one. I'm going to create another one. Create access key for command line, CLI, and confirmation. I understand the above recommendation and want to proceed to create an access key. Fine. Next, I'll just give training as the reason. Create access key. Yes, access key is created. So let me copy this access key and then go back to the terminal. And now it is asking for secret access key. You can take it from the same page. Just copy this, come back and paste. And then default region name, I'm going to specify US East 1. You can choose your own regions. Or even if you don't specify it for this exercise, it is okay. Output format, I'm not specifying anything. Just to see if the credentials have been set properly, you can do AWS SNS list topics. And if there are any topics which you have created, it will actually list. If there are no topics you have created, there won't be any output. That's all. So my credentials are set properly. Now I need to create 2 managed nodes. And I'm going to create those managed nodes using Ansible itself. So Ansible, apart from configuration management, you can also use it for launching AWS infrastructure. Even though that is not the primary purpose, but you can use Ansible for creating EC2 instances. I'm going to use Ansible for that purpose here. So when you do that, I want to use the same key pair which I used for launching the control node. Because of that, I'll have to copy the private key from my downloads folder in my laptop into this control node. So how I'm going to do is I'll exit from here and then now I'm in my laptop. Here I will issue this command, paste, and then you need the IP address here. How do I get the IP address? Go to your EC2 page, click on the instance ID. This is the public IP address. Just copy that, come here, paste, and I'll be giving all these commands as part of the cheat sheet. So you don't need to worry about this. So I have just copied the private key pair into my Ansible control node. Now I can log into the control node again using the SSH command. And once you log in, please change the permissions of your key pair file, which is IDRSA. You have to change it to 400. Yes, I had copied the private key into .ssh/IDRSA in my EC2. So now I am changing the permissions to 400. Okay. Now I can use an Ansible playbook. Playbook is the Ansible program written in YAML. I can use an Ansible playbook for launching other EC2 instances. Why I am launching 2 other EC2 instances is to use those EC2 instances as the managed nodes. The nodes which I'm going to manage using this Ansible control node. So let me create a playbook, EC2 playbook.yaml. And the contents of this I will include it in my cheat sheet. For now I am just copy pasting it. Paste. Okay. You can just save it and go to the top. So this playbook is for launching an EC2 instance. I'm not going to run this script in another machine. I'll be running it in this machine itself. That's why it is a local host. When we do the second part of this exercise, you will understand how do we specify the managed host at this stage. Then tasks, these are the tasks which we are going to do. It is nothing but launching the EC2. So the first part, name, this is a variable. Again, I will not spend much time on YAML. Most of you are familiar with YAML, or we can have another video created on that. So this is actually a loop.
you can see that this loop is going to run for 2 values. With items means it will run with host 1 first time and host 2 second time. And here first time when it executes, the value of this variable will be host -1. And then region is US East 1, key name the same key pair name which I used for the Ansible control node. Then subnet ID. When you are doing this, you will have to update all these. Instance type can be T2 micro, or you can change it to T2 small, or anything which you want. Security group, the same security group which I had used for control node. Network, assign public IP. Image ID also, a same image I'm using. Then register EC2 created means the output of this particular task will be stored in EC2 underscore created. And then I'm also creating a directory called /etc/Ansible. That is for creating my host inventory file that we'll see soon. Then here debug message, it is going to print out on the screen. It will print out EC2 created. EC2 created, you can see that the output of this task will be stored in EC2 created. So EC2 created will have the private IP address of both the instances. So both those private IP addresses will be printed onto the screen. We will take those private IP addresses and then add it in the host inventory file. So let me get out of this. Now I can run this playbook. What will happen if I run that playbook? It will create 2 EC2 instances. One is called host1 and the other one is called host2. So to run it, you have to run this command ansible-playbook EC2 playbook.yaml. And after you enter this, you can go back to your EC2 and refresh. You can see that host 1 is pending and host 2 hasn't started. Let me refresh it again. Now you can see that host 1 is in running stage and host 2 is in pending stage. Now let me go back to the terminal again. So host 1 has been created, host 2 also has been created, and you can see that the IP address of both these are printed onto the screen. Now what I need to do is I have to create the host inventory file with the list of these IP addresses, which are the IP address of the machine to be managed. So let me create the host inventory file. So just copy those IP addresses. Okay, now we need to ensure that you are able to SSH into these machines. So you can do 172.31.44.176, and yes, it is allowing you. So just change the host name and then exit and then SSH into the next one. And set the host name, exit. So that part is done. Now to find out if the control node can SSH into each of these host machines, you can issue this command ansible all -m ping. So what it means is Ansible, to invoke Ansible, all means you should do this for all the managed hosts, means all the IP addresses which are listed in the host file, and -m means you have to execute this particular module. And what is the module name? Ping. Ping is the module name which you have to execute. It actually SSH into your managed hosts. So here, if you are getting the response as Pong, that means it is successful. You are able to SSH into each of the machines using Ansible. So now you are ready to control the 2 machines. So basically you have a setup something like this now. You have your control node and you have 2 inventory machines, host 1 and host 2. And here we have created the inventory file. And we have ensured that SSH connection between the control node and the host are working fine. Now the next what we are going to do is we are going to write another Ansible playbook, which is for installing Apache web server in these managed nodes. So how do we do that? First, let me create another folder here, Ansible Labs, and in that I'm going to create install Apache pb.yaml. I'm pasting this code and I will include it as part of my cheat sheet. So here again, what it does is the name of the play is installing Apache web servers, and host all means you have to do it for all the hosts which are listed in the host inventory file. Become yes means you have to use super user permissions. Task, the first task is yum name httpd means you have to install httpd using yum, and state latest means okay, you have to use the latest version, and you have to update the yum cache with the latest version of that when you download it from the internet. Then in task 2, you have to copy the index.html file, which I haven't created yet. I will create it now. That index.html has to be copied into the var www.html folder inside the managed nodes. So source is in your control node and the destination is in your managed nodes. And in task 3, you are changing the permission of that index.html file, and in task 4 you are just starting that HTTPD server. So let us see how it is going to work. So if it is working, we will be able to view the web page on those two servers. So we also need to prepare index.html. So let me create a very simple HTML page. Now index.html and install apache pb.yaml, both files are available. I can just execute this playbook, paste. So if it works, I'll be able to access the web page which is running on the managed hosts. So in the meantime, just go to your AWS console, EC2 dashboard, and go to the running instances and go to host 1 and find out the public IPv4 DNS. This is the one. Just copy that and go to a new page, paste it. So you can see that it says welcome to Ansible Learning. Today is June 23rd, 2024. So that's it. That was a basic Ansible exercise which we did. We initially created a RHEL EC2 instance and then installed Ansible and other software packages in that. Then using Ansible, we created 2 more EC2 instances and we created the host inventory file in the Ansible control node. And then again, by writing another Ansible playbook, we installed the Apache server in those 2 servers and we copied an index.html file from the control node to the managed nodes. And now we are able to view the web page created by that index.html file. So once you are done with this, please terminate the 3 EC2 instances which you have created. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Bye.